everybody, I'm Nicole with Curly Cuisine. I'm just here in my kitchen today. As you can see, I have not scrunched off the crunch yet. I'm going to talk a little bit about my hair, but not much because today we're cooking. So I put in my clips like this. If you watched my volume video, I did talk about sometimes I don't diffuse as much, and today I didn't diffuse a ton. So I put in clips and I put them right straight up and down. That way I get the most volume, because I found if I just go in like this, then they just kind of fall over and I don't get much volume. I wanted to apologize real quickly. I try to do my videos on Monday, but I had a car accident on Saturday and totaled my van, and I've been dealing with a concussion. So I appreciate everybody for hanging in there. And now we're going to make some chicken Alfredo. Okay, for this I'm just going to really show you what I'm using. I have about 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil and some granulated garlic. I like the granulated, not the powdered. The powdered is, well, powdery, so it kind of gets in the air a lot. And then also I think the granulated has a better flavor. And then just some Italian seasoning. Whatever Italian seasoning you have. It's usually oregano, some basil, I think thyme, let's see, yep, and rosemary and marjoram. So, but pretty standard. So those are what we're going to start off with. And I'm going to take and mix those into the olive oil, which is in this bowl here, and apply it to my chicken. So since I don't have 3 hands, I'm going to pause here and come back after I've done that. Okay, so I also put about a teaspoon of each of those in, and then also a teaspoon of kosher salt. So now I'm just going to take and use this brush to coat my chicken. Trying to get these really close up so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Just coating that chicken really good, and then I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. You want a good coating because this is going to keep it from sticking to your pan. And also get some good flavor in there. Okay, remember being very, very careful when you're dealing with chicken, because you don't want to cross-contaminate. So as you see, I'm not touching my chicken with my hands because you don't want to touch anything else afterwards. So even still, I will wash my hands 1,000 times while I'm cooking. It's habit. Just anytime I touch anything food-wise, I'm going to wash my hands. And then if I touch something that's not food, before I touch food again, I'm going to wash my hands. So let me move this to the other side. My little stand that I have for my phone that I can connect to the wall or something like that is still in my wrecked van. So sorry about this. The next one will be better, but I didn't want y'all to have to wait any longer, so I appreciate your patience. Okay, so see, they're nice and coated all over. Okay, so we're just going to leave this and let it sit for a while I move on to the next step. It just kind of lets everything absorb into there. Okay, so what I have here is about 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. And what I'm going to add to it is heavy whipping cream, 1 pint. And then 1 whole stick of unsalted butter. So, I'll be right back. Okay, so here it is. That is the cream cheese, the butter, and the heavy whipping cream. As you see, it's 7:33. I'm going to turn this on about 3 until this all melts. So I'm really just going to leave this here for a while, and we'll come back and I'll tell you how many minutes we actually left it there. But I'm going to leave it and whisk it once that starts to melt. I mean, it's not going to do a lot of good to whisk it right now. That butter is frozen. So I will be back, and I hope that y'all have great success with this. It's so easy. It's so easy to make good Alfredo sauce. So see you soon. Okay, so we're at 22 minutes. Now keep in mind, I used frozen butter. So, sorry, I'm trying to get my shadow out of the way here. So that's what took so long for everything to melt. You have a couple of options to make that less time. One, just use it for refrigerated butter, or if you want to even not use refrigerated butter and have it go quicker, you can use room temperature butter. So just take it out earlier. So now we are going to add some other stuff to this. This is 1 teaspoon of the garlic powder. And I think this is honestly the first time I've ever measured it, but that is what the recipe calls for. There, maybe that's a little better. And then 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, and I'll show you exactly what I used. The recipe does call for 3/4 cup, but I have found that I like to use a little bit more than what it calls for. So here is what I use. I get that at Sam's, but any Parmesan cheese, real Parmesan cheese, not the powdered kind that you get, the, what is it? It's called grated, but you know, the like Kraft that's on the Italian aisle. I imagine you probably could use it, but you're not going to come out with such a good sauce as this is going to make. And this is why I don't like putting the garlic in with the spoon, because then it clumps together. But as it cooks, it'll unclump. So now we're just going to let this sit there. Let that Parmesan incorporate. So now we are going to, and really, the longer you can let this simmer, the better. You will get much better results if you let it simmer for a long time. So, see the clumps of garlic, but we'll break those down later if they don't on their own, but they should just with the heat. Okay, so now we're gonna do the chicken. So this is an old pan. I've had it forever. You could probably tell it's a little beat up, but it still works. This is what I sprayed it with. Or you can just use some regular olive oil. I just keep this in the house because it's quick and convenient, and I'm all about the quick and convenient. So we're gonna put the chicken in, but we want to wait until the pan is hot, because that's going to give you a nice crisp on the outside of the chicken, to where it's not just, hey. It'll be a lot better to have that caramelization. So we're going to wait just until the pan starts to smoke. I have it on 7, but I'm actually going to turn that down to 6. And wait for that to happen. Okay, so the pan is just starting to smoke. So I'm going to take my chicken breast and lay it in here. You want to hear that sizzle. That's what you're wanting. The sizzle is very, very important. You want to make sure it's in a flat layer, that you don't have any overlapping. And we're just going to let those cook. We'll do about 6 minutes on each side, and then we'll check them. And in the meantime, I still, well, have a mess over here, but we're just letting the Alfredo sit back here on one while it's simmering, getting all nice and yummy while my chicken is cooking. So that's what we have going on. And I'm just going to be back when my chicken is done. Okay, I'm at the 3-minute mark, so I'm going to take and flip these. See how they're starting to get some color on them? That's what we want. And I said 6 minutes each side, but we're going to break that down. 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. That way they can get evenly cooked. Now with beef, like steak, you only want to flip once. With chicken, you want to do it a little bit more often. So I do break it up into 3-minute segments. Yum, it smells great in here. Okay, so now you can really see the color. I just flipped these again. So right now we have done 3 minutes on one side, 3 minutes on the other side, and now we flip them back over. After this 3 minutes, I'm gonna check them just to see. And what I'll be looking for is you know that the edges are done. I mean, that's clear. So I want to feel the middle and see if it's the same texture as the not texture, but like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Sorry, the concussion is getting me. Like springiness, firmness, that's the word I'm looking for. I'm so sorry. The same firmness in the middle, and these are still, I could tell that this is different than this, which I didn't expect them to be done after 6 minutes anyways. And we do have a George Foreman grill. There it is. My son loves that thing, best thing ever. I would normally probably put these on there, but since I'm showing you what to do, I want to go ahead and do it in the pan. But we throw a couple of them on there, and like 5 to 6 minutes, they're done. You don't have to turn them or anything. You just close it down. I got that one for $10 at Black Friday at Target. I cannot tell you how much we use it. My son said when he goes off to college, after next year, he wants one for his dorm room. Actually, multiple sizes, he said. So, and we're still just letting our Alfredo sauce hang out back there, still on one. So, I will be back. Okay, so by touch, I can tell that this one and this one are done, but this one I don't think is done yet. And also, I can still see a little bit of pink there. I hope you can see that. But these two feel like they are done. So I'm going to take them off the heat, because one thing we don't want to happen is we don't want them to overcook, because we can end up with dry chicken. And nobody likes dry chicken. So if you are not feeling confident to just tell by touch, take it off the heat, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then you can cut into the thickest portion of the meat and check. Do not cut it in the pan, and do not cut it right off the heat, because your meat needs to rest before you go ahead and cut into it. If you do not, and as you see, I changed tongs. These are a shorter pair. I changed because you don't want to cross-contaminate. I was using the other while the chicken was raw, but now that it's getting cooked, I have changed because the entire outside of the chicken is cooked. So I don't want to touch those with the chicken tongs that were the raw chicken. So, if I didn't know, I would take these off the heat, let them sit for 5 minutes, because when you cut into chicken that came straight off the heat, it's going to let all those wonderful juices just disappear right out of the chicken. So you do not want that to happen. And then if it is in need, then go ahead and throw it back on there for a few minutes, however long you feel like it still needs. So I'm going to let this one cook for about another 2 minutes. And put it over there where it's in that juice. As you see, I'm getting some pretty nice, like, crusty stuff on the bottom. That's going to come in handy here in just a minute. So while we're waiting on that guy, we're going to come and give this a good stir. Sorry, I'm trying to hold this in a way you can still see. So as you see, you're not seeing any of those clumps anymore. They've kind of incorporated themselves in. So, all right. And over here, I have washed some mushrooms off, and I've just been letting them sit while we're doing the rest of this process. So I will be back shortly. Okay guys, so here I am with my mushrooms. For some reason my last did not record. So I have simply put a little bit more of the olive oil, into the pan. Just enough to coat the bottom of the pan, not to let these mushrooms swim in it. And then the granulated garlic, the kosher salt, and again that Italian seasoning that we used from before. Okay. And now I'm just cooking them over that same 6 that we were before. And with this, see how yummy those are already looking? It was okay to cook these in the same pan. We're not worried about cross-contamination with the chicken because the chicken was fully cooked when it was done. And the heat from the pan maintained for long enough to kill any bacteria that was in the pan. We just don't want, like if we put the raw chicken in here and we took it out when it wasn't fully cooked, we would not use this pan to do this with. We just wouldn't do it. Okay. Well, you can risk salmonella, not me. All right. So, and with those seasonings, I just sprinkled a light layer across the top. Sorry that you didn't get to see that. Okay. So, we're just going to let those cook for maybe about 2 minutes. We'll probably stir them after a minute. We're going to come back over here and just give this a good little stir again. See how we're finally getting to the point that that Parmesan isn't stringing out of there anymore. It's getting incorporated. And no more chunks of the garlic that we had in the beginning. So, yay! Everything's getting there. Our chicken breasts are sitting in the oven. The oven's turned off, but it holds heat. So we've let those sit in there while we're cooking our mushrooms. This is a meal that I like to cook one step at a time, because while the Alfredo is marinating, sorry, I'm making a mess, but while the Alfredo is marinating, I cook those chicken, and then I want to cook the mushrooms after so that I can have all the yummy juices from the chicken and that crustiness that was in the bottom of this pan, which is now gone. It's on our mushrooms, to flavor our mushrooms because it makes them so, so good. And then I'm going to boil the water and make the pasta after, just because I'm going to let these, I'm going to pull this off the stove here in about 1 more minute and stick it in the oven with the chicken just so it can sit in these juices for a little bit while I make the pasta. Okay, so here is our water waiting to boil. I started with hot water just so that it takes less time. Couple of very important things. One, we're going to salt our water. That is extremely important because it flavors your pasta. Otherwise, you get bland pasta. And yeah, I put a lot. You don't want it to be like you licked a salt lick, but you do want it to be like swimming in the ocean. You want it to taste like that. That's going to give your pasta some good flavor. Do not put oil. I know everybody says that it keeps it from boiling over, which is accurate, but also it sticks to the outside of your pasta and does not allow your pasta to absorb and stick to whatever sauce you're putting on it. So that's my tip of the day. And as you see, this is going to boil pretty quickly. So from there, I am going to put in this pasta. Even though this is fettuccine Alfredo, I like using linguine instead, so it's technically linguine Alfredo. But the directions are on here somewhere, right there. And so this says boil for 9 minutes, stirring occasionally. For tender pasta, boil an extra minute. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You want your pasta al dente. So you don't want there to be a crunch when you bite into it. I'm going to turn you around. You don't want there to be a crunch when you bite into it, but you do want to feel it between your teeth. You want to have a toothsome feel, like there's some firmness to it still when you bite into it. Trust me, eat it like that. You'll thank me. And it's also better when you reheat, that you can not have crazy mushy pasta. Nobody wants mushy pasta. So, all right, that was enough of me. So still just have that back there simmering. Like I said, the longer we can let that simmer, the better. And our pasta water is about to boil, so we'll go ahead and cook those, and I'll see you guys in about 9 minutes. Actually, I'm going to peek back in here while this is still boiling to kind of mention, I touched on the boiling over thing. When it starts to get higher, it'll get foamy and start to boil up. Just take it off the heat. Remove it from the heat and turn your heat down. You see, I turned my heat down to about 4.5. That's fine. All you have to do with this water is maintain a boil. You can turn it down. I started with it on about 9 just so I could get it boiling quicker because I'm about 1,000 shades of hungry. We eat late in our house and it's 8:30. That's probably pretty typical for us. I'm a night owl and so is my son. But, and I'm just kind of stirring this. I'm not going to stir it the whole time, but when you first put it in, they're straight sticks and they're hard, so they do not just go down in there. You have to wait for them to soften up a little bit and then kind of worm them down in there, and some of them want to stick together, so you kind of have to break them apart. This is pasta spoon, I guess, and I'm not about the technical stuff. I'm about the practical stuff and about helping you to understand what it is you actually need to do to be a successful cook. So I am going to pause this and I will be back when our pasta is done. Alright, now that I've made a mess all over my stove, this has about 1 minute left. I just checked one and it was not quite to where I want it to be, but I'm actually going to pull it a little bit early because I'm going to show you a little trick. So I'm going to come over here. I've cleaned up a little bit of my mess. I'm going to strain my pasta. Ooh, that's a lot of steam. Okay. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to get these 2 noodles out. I'm not only dealing with a hand, it's... Okay. We're just going to have to do this with my fingers and hope that that's not too hot. Nope, we made it. Okay. I'm just going to throw that in the sink, not in our pasta. Alright, so I'm going to put this not on the heat yet. I want to turn it to about 7. Let that get hot. Then we're going to take our Alfredo back here and do 1 ladle into our pan. Just enough to coat the bottom. Okay. Then we're going to bring that over. We're going to dump our pasta into that. Boom, magic, pasta in there. You didn't even see it happen, did you? And I'm going to stir it. I'm going to stir it really fast for about 45 seconds. Okay, so now we took that off. I'm going to turn that off. Let me tell you why I did that. Remember when I said don't coat your pasta in oil, you'll regret it? Some people will take and pour oil in after they strain it to keep the pasta noodles from sticking together and becoming a mushy mess. Well, this is the way that you can keep that from happening, but instead of soaking up olive oil, they soak up the sauce. So I don't want all my sauce in there. Please feel free to add all your stuff in there, your chicken, your sauce, your mushrooms. You can mix it all into one dish. Me and my son, we like to dish it up, put the noodles on the plate, slice up our chicken, put it on there, throw some mushrooms, and then cover it in the sauce. That way we can control how much of each we want. But this is just the way we do it. Again, especially if you have small kids, you might want to just put it all into one pan. So I'll be back to show you what that all looks like. Okay guys, so here is our finished product. Very pretty. Now all we got left is sauce. And this is so, so good. This sauce is so incredible. Now, if you want it thicker than this, you can put more cream cheese. This is the consistency we like it. It's also the consistency that's made to be, because it soaks into your noodles and all. Otherwise, if you get it all goopy, it just sits on top. So that is it. Hey everybody, okay, so I have enjoyed my meal. I hope you did too, and I am so full. So as you see, I've taken the clips out of my hair. It might be a tiny bit damp in places, but I think it's pretty dry. But I'm gonna go ahead and scrunch out the crunch because some of you don't get the crunch out like this, scrunching, and I don't either. So what I do is I flip my head and I take and I massage my roots because you really want to get those away from your head. Rub, rub, rub. And I really just kind of give them a good shake until I don't feel like they're clumped together. My hair's clumped together at the root anymore. Okay, then after I do that, I'm going to take and do this. I use the praying hands to unscrunch it, see? And that gets the crunch out right away. My hair's really fine, but I put lots of gel. And I also make sure it's completely dry before I do this. And then I'm going to flip to the other side and do the same. Okay. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I'm all about volume. So this isn't going to work for me. So I got to flip it, shake it, kind of do this. And then I'm going to start scrunching and kind of pull. I pull too to kind of get it to separate. I know everybody's about the clumps, and ladies with clumps are beautiful. I love those for some people. I'm not one of those people. It's just, I'm from Texas. I like the big hair. So we're going to pause it right here. I'm using my son to do this one so I can have both hands. So I'll be... Alright, so here is the finished product. I'll probably play with it some more just to get some more volume into it. But as you see, lots of curls. If you've been watching my journey, last time I videoed, I didn't have the lighter bottoms. I ombra'd it here at my house. You can, I'll probably try to do a video, since I'm not going to ombre it again, I'll at least show you how I did it because it's very good for growing out your hair. I have to continue to bleach my roots, or not bleach, but dye my roots because I have grays. But thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. Help me out and subscribe and watch going forward. Thanks so much. Have a great day.